Hello world, Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Darcy here, and today on the Bonsai Balcony, look at there, a little bonsai pot on a little bonsai table. Last night I went to our Oakland Bonsai Club meeting, the EBBS, which is our Oakland chapter. We meet. Oakland is lucky; it has a lake in the middle of the town, Lake Merritt. It's a nice place it's got a sidewalk that goes all the way around it. Takes over an hour to walk around. It's a nice, relaxing walk. There's also a botanical garden. There's also a bonsai garden, and it is where our club meets, and it is absolutely awesome. I have dropped a couple of shorts, but they're not, my shorts aren't typical shorts. One, I never film this way. I'm just like, don't like what I'm doing right now at this moment. This right now is irritating to me, and I almost never like filming that way. So that's why a lot of times my shorts won't actually show up as shorts, even if they're like 30 seconds long or something. Look, there in the back, underneath Hoss Pondo. Do you see I have that baby currently wired down to another pot? And that is going to be its future pot. That also gives me ground clearance that I needed. I introduced the gang last night at the meeting to Hoss Pondo, and I bought a couple of raffle tickets. That little pot there was donated by one of our members, and the other little pot that I showed you earlier in the video was also donated by one of the club members. And then we all buy raffle tickets that benefits the club, and whoever wins the little, and then they pick names, and whoever wins the first raffle gets to pick the first item, and whoever wins second gets to pick second, and so forth and so forth. And true to game, I go in there and make out like a bandit. I bought probably a few dollars worth of raffle tickets and walked away with 2 pots. And last month, or not last month, but 2 months ago, at the meeting that I went to live instead of Zoom, I scored that bonsai table. So yeah, Pat certainly is the pillager when it comes to the raffle. I should probably stop playing raffles, because I have never not won a raffle. And I have played a few raffles, but I've never not won a raffle. And yeah, that seems like that would be a sign to go buy a lottery ticket. Those are different. One of these days I'll lose a raffle, and I can no longer say that I've never not won a raffle. So I should probably just quit while I'm extremely far ahead. Yeah, I got all the toys. I might as well just hang up my raffle belt, a champion. Anyway, that's just kind of a quick look at the trees. I discussed last night with the guest speaker, Eric, and Eric Schrader, who was doing the lecture last night on show hens. I brought this guy, and I brought that guy, and I brought a couple of these, and I donated one of these to the raffle. Yeah, we lost one of our, but we lost one of our members in a really nice way. It was a little bean in a little clay pot, and it got auctioned. I mean, it got picked up in the raffle. And what I was talking to Eric about last night was this tree has already got candles on it, and I was curious about, and it's not the only one. This one also has candles. They don't all, but a lot of them are at some stage of getting ready, and some of them are quite a bit farther along than others. And he was telling me at the time that I was asking him if my lights were doing it, if my lights were if my lights were causing my trees to start early. And he was explaining how, especially when it comes to younger trees, it's not even necessarily the photo period as much as it's almost any change in intensity one way or another can trigger them when they're seedlings or yearlings and all that. So it's no issue. Apparently it's no big deal. It doesn't mean that I need to do anything one way or another with our lights. And what we're doing with my artificial lights up there, what I have always done was I wanted to make sure I wasn't confusing the trees by having the lights come on at odd times. And what I would call odd times are like if it's the sun's not up, or if it's after sundown and the lights are still on. So I always have these guys come on. Generally, as a rule, it changes because it changes with the season a little bit every day, but then every so often I'll have to play with the dial and catch them up and readjust everything. But what I typically try to do is make sure that our lights come on a couple of hours after sunrise. So these guys will have already gotten ambient, even though the sun comes up over there. It sort of comes up behind that wall. Out here closer to the oak is probably the first place that actually hits sunlight on that rail. Right, the sun comes up and it has to clear that wall by that much, and that corner only gets lit as the sun makes it past halfway and starts shining back. So our lights are supplementing for lack of that, and anything else that happens that causes these guys to fall into shadow. If one tree is behind another one and it's just in shadow from the sun, then the overheads are certainly going to give us enough to compensate for that. And I was worried about whether or not I was messing with them timing wise. It could be. Don't see that issue with the older trees. I am only seeing that with the seedlings, with the little ones, and he confirmed that without me telling him that I was only seeing it with the little ones. And that's what he said. He goes, they are highly susceptible to any little changes. Will make them candle or not candle or whatever. Will kind of disrupt their pattern. So I don't really think there's anything different I should do here in my part of the Bay Area with my pine trees. I want the needles as small as possible on this one. I want the needles as small as possible on the show hen. And of course, we're going to want the needles as small as possible on all of these little Mamet black pines and that one. And the way to get the needles as short as possible is to cut the candles as late as possible. That gives the second flush of growth the least amount of time to come back. And they come back shorter because of that. So that's kind of how we do that. And for us here in the Bay, I believe that's typically around the end of June. So no matter how far I've gone past this guy, that was confusing to me my first year when it came time to cut the candles. I saw something kind of like this that year too on some of my trees. We're making candles early. And I thought, yeah, that's the thing I'm going to cut here in 3 months. And 3 months from now, it looks more like that. And it's like, where's the candle that I cut? Because it had already just, and you had to dig down in there and determine what was your first year's growth and still cut that. So that's how we do that. And you can see off in the distance, we got stuff starting to bloom here. Little plums or cherry trees, other little things are out and about. My cork bark oak is starting to pop a little bit. My coastal oak is already starting to go a little bit. Today feels like it is Up here, it's in the 70s. We're not even in sweaters or anything. We're just enjoying our day off. And what a nice day off it is. Last night, the meeting was absolutely awesome. Being able to, I learn something every time I go to a meeting, or even when I take them on Zoom. There were a couple of times when I got off of work so late that it was just really hard to get free to walk and turn around and make it in hot foot right back to the opposite side of town. So I would just kind of turn up the Zoom, but I always learn stuff, and I always learn more when I go. And it's always nice to see everybody in the group. And I've been looking around for the right pot for Hoss, the Ponderosa, for quite some time, and that is exactly what I wanted. That is exactly what. Now, okay, the inside dimensions of the new pot that I've got it kind of wired to for right now is slightly larger than the outside dimensions of the old pot. So yeah, it's bigger. The inside dimensions are going to be bigger by at least that much, but it's also a slightly shallower pot, so maybe it'll even out, and it's not that much bigger. It's a good size, and considering the change of angle, that will allow me to back the tree up a little bit to where it's not just plated at one end and laying down at the other. Yeah, that's not really a huge deal until I think about it. I'm looking forward to fixing that part of it. I think that'll really just kind of seal the deal when it gets put in there. The question is, how long do I wait? I mean, I just potted that a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, that's about all we have going today. It's not going to be a really long video. I'm just enjoying this weather, and I thought I would share it with you. And we're going to look at how all our little show hens are doing. I'm not seeing so much action from this guy, although it is moving. It's just not showing me as much as these guys. And these guys are still pushing those little buds. They're still pushing those little buds right on out. Come on, little buds. So yeah, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. We're pushing our numbers up slowly but surely, and our next drop will probably be, I don't know, I'll probably do something tonight, and then we will have our Saturday drop that we will always do. Thank you so much for watching.